All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. Let's start that conversation. I'd like to hear your views on every single subject that we're going to talk about. We're still paying tribute to the third president of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Mwai Kibaki. His body lies in state for the third time yesterday. Now there's preparations. Then it will head to Nyayo National Stadium for the Requiem Mass and then head to Othaya for the final state funeral on Saturday. We'll give you wall-to-wall coverage of that all through this. But for now, let's talk about the dailies that is on our front page of the Daily Nation. One of the conversations there is Raila to share power with Chief Minister. There's a whole matrix there of how this power sharing is allegedly going to be done. We'll talk about that in just a bit. But let me introduce my guest real quick. Governor Kivutha Kibwana is joining us online. He's the governor for Makueni. Thank you so much for making time. Tuita Mwangi, former PS Foreign Affairs, will be joining us shortly in just a bit. But Kimani Wamatangi, Senator for Kiambu, is here, and Governor aspirant for Kiambu as well, is joining us in studio. And Danstan Omari, advocate of the High Court, is also with us in studio. Thank you so much for making time. Let's start off with the Daily Nation front page there. They're talking about Raila to share power with Chief Minister. Before we get into the details of the day, the big week dilemma in Kenya Kwanza and Azimio La Umoja. They say between a rock and a hard place in a new proposal that could either make or break the political and power ambitions of a coterie of brokers in the Azimio coalition. The Chief Minister will be the head of government and will supervise and coordinate government functions. This points to the dilemma that the Odinga camp is grappling with, trying to satisfy competing interest in the selection of the deputy president candidate. There's a matrix there. So on a Raila side, there's Kalonzo Musyoka, Martha Karua, Peter Kenneth, Peter Munya, Hassan Joho, Lee Kinyanjui. On this other side, for Dr. William Ruto, there's Anne Waiguru, Rigathi Gachagua, Musalia Mudavadi, Alice Wahome, Kithure Kindiki. Let's start on one side for the Azimio. And Governor Kibwana, I'll start with you. Kalonzo Musyoka has been pushing that he's the de facto running mate. Is he an obvious choice for the Azimio One Kenya Alliance team?
Thank you very much, Trevor, for having us this morning. And of course, the main thing being to talk about our former president, a man I really loved, a mentor. But in terms of the question that you have asked, you know, to be a deputy president, first of all, you have to be able to work very closely with the presidential candidate. He or she normally will have to maybe ask a team to scout, to do talent search, so that the two people can match, there won't be acrimony. And there's also an important fact that if by bad luck a president was to be unavailable to continue with a position, then that deputy president would really very easily carry over the work. And so one thing that has surprised me is some of the deputy presidential hopefuls are really asking for the position as if it is, they must have it, it is by force, and if they don't, they will not play ball. So as of now, it is up to the presidential hopefuls to really decide who would suit and to consort as they wish.
Yeah. But you are quoted as saying that it's becoming difficult to work with Kalonzo Musyoka. Why did you say that?
Well, that was for me. That didn't mean that he can't work with, Raila Odinga. That was for me because he was insisting that there should be a three-legged formation or stool in Azimio, meaning ODM, Jubilee, and Oka, which has been reduced to Wiper. So it meant that he excluded the so-called small parties in Azimio. And my party is Muungano Party. There is Charities NAC, there is Mutua's Chap Chap, there are other parties also from the region. So, you know, that exclusion meant that in his own estimation, we either had to come under him or not really be in Azimio. So that was my problem.
There are those who claim that he's the automatic kingpin for Kambani politics. Do you agree?
If one, for example, looks at 2017, in the county where he comes from, that is Kitui, there were 2 Jubilee MPs, same as Machakos. In Makueni, we did our homework, and we had NASA dominating in an obvious way. Even now, if you look at the polls, you find that there is, more of the hustler movement in Kitui, second Machakos, Makueni is less. So it means that there are other players in the region who command, following, and that is unfortunately something that is bypassed by those who are arranging politics, both sides.
All right. Let me bring in Omari on this. Omari, what do you make of this matrix, especially with Kalonzo Musyoka as the running mate?
Thank you, viewers. May I take this opportunity to pass my condolences and my sincere condolences to the late Mwai Kibaki's family, the country at large. This is a fallen hero, and it's a privilege that Citizen TV has accorded me this opportunity to pass those condolences. Number two, on the question that you have posed, whether Kalonzo Musyoka is an entitled deputy president in the waiting under Azimio or a running mate, is purely when you look at the governor of Makueni, the governor of Kitui, the governor of Machakos. They are building themselves up for the Kamba succession. They are saying, Kalonzo, your time is over, get out. We are coming. So there is a lot of dogfight between the Kamba leaders as to who is supposed to get that position. The three governors feel one of them should get that position, and that's why Ngilu has been fronted, while they are saying, if you give Kalonzo this position, we will fade to oblivion. But the fundamental question, Trevor, we ask ourselves is, for example, there is a proposal to have a chief minister. This is exactly what was in the BBI draft thing that the courts declared unconstitutional. By the law, the Constitution provides for a strict structure of the executive. One, the president. There can't be two. Two, a deputy president. Three, the cabinet. The number of cabinet ministers is restricted to the constitutional provision. What those cabinet ministers can do is totally the prerogative of the president to assign them duties. Today, we have a chief minister hidden as a minister called the CS for Interior, who coordinates government functions. That the president does through a document called the executive order that assigns functions to the officers or the offices that has been created. Any other position outside that can be a position in the office of the Public Service Commission of the Republic of Kenya. That commission can create a position. For example, the administrators who lost elections and were appointed to be chief administrative officers in ministries, the secretaries, those were positions created under the office of the Public Service Commission. So in my point is, there is nothing wrong creating and calling this person a chief minister or calling him a minister with or without a flag. Tuju has been a minister without any portfolio. That is the position we are saying that under the law, Raila Odinga, if he comes to power, or William Ruto, if he comes to power, he can give these people titles called cabinet secretaries, but assign them functions as if they are deputy presidents. Remember, William Ruto has found himself in a situation he is because the Constitution has not provided in detail the job description. He is the principal deputy to the head of state. He will be assigned duties, delegated duties. So if the head of state feels fit that he does not delegate, the deputy cannot raise the issue. So this one administratively works. Constitutionally, it is just it doesn't exist. Politically, it is a deceptive game to keep everybody hoping that once Raila Odinga or once William Ruto takes power, I will be given a certain position.
Okay.
So exactly to me, that is my taking over this.
All right. Well, Matangi, what do you make of this matrix, first of all?
Trevor, let me first take the opportunity to say good morning to our viewers. Yeah. It's been a whole week, and we thank God that we're here. And secondly, and I know we are coming to the issue of the demise of the third president of the Republic of Kenya.
Yeah, that will be our main conversation.
I believe we are coming there, but let me also take the opportunity first to convey my condolences. I've done that in other platforms.
Yeah.
It is good to start with that on that note because, as you've said, it's a main subject, but it's also a big one. And then thirdly, on this question of running mates, first let me declare that I think on our Kenya Kwanza side, I think we are not having this big problem. I've seen it depicted here on the newspaper, but if you've been listening, and I don't think you've seen it either in the media, anyone claiming either entitlement or must do. Largely it is speculation, which is all right, by either the media and the general populace who would be best fitting because it's a position that exists. By perception, Trevor, mostly Kenyans have attributed the person who occupies an office with the representation of the communities they come from. And hence I believe that this is one of the reasons why you find that there's a lot of interest in who is going to be whose deputy, because the question that lingers in people's minds based on our earlier thinking and inclination is which community then is going to be second, in that representation. That's why you probably find that there's that interest. Like I've said, from our side in Kenya Kwanza, we are of a general consensus that one, and I believe that this is applicable across the board, including for positions of governor, is that when you're thinking about a deputy president, the candidate, our candidate for president, would largely be thinking about who is best positioned to deliver on the manifesto and the vision of the Kenya Kwanza coalition, administration once it comes into place.
Yeah.
And the best person fitted for that position should take the position, in spite of other considerations. Every of all those persons that have been listed there and others not listed, mostly all qualify. And what we should be saying to those that are aspiring is that there is nothing special about one person either being given that opportunity to serve. There are others, hundreds of them, who are equally qualified and deserving. And that's why I would want to urge even those on the other side, for the sake of the unity of this country, and also so that the administration that comes in place can have its focus on service delivery and not on who sits in which position.
Yeah.
That it is important to ensure that as they engage in dialogue, which then forms the mindset and psyche of the country as we move into the next administration, and that we should not hype, we should not concentrate, we should not make a big deal out of who is going to sit in these positions. But then let me conclude by making just one or two remarks from some of the comments made by my colleagues. I think, number one, it is evident that the weight of Kalonzo Musyoka in the Kamba equation can no longer be, gainsaid, because if you look at what happened when he took time to get into the Azimio coalition and agree with them and generally be in the matrix.
Yeah.
A lot of effort was applied, and he's been pursued all over to ensure that he's in there. And that means that I think he's still a very, poignant player in Kamba politics. As my Attorney General there proposes probably that maybe it is waiting in the wings for the other three players for Kalonzo to exit. But if you look at their ages and even history in politics, for example, between Charity Ngilu, Kalonzo Musyoka, other than Kivutha Kibwana, but also Kivutha Kibwana, my good friend, has also been public service for quite a while.
Yeah.
I don't think that Kalonzo would be exiting to allow any of them in. They've equally been in public service for long. Ngilu has been there for a long time.
Yeah.
So has Kivutha Kibwana. And even the ages are complete. Actually, they all swing between probably 67 to 70 years. You know, that's the cycle of all of them, other than maybe Alfred, who is a little younger. Yeah. So I believe in their metrics, what would work best I believe for the sake of the Kamba community, yeah, and integrating with the rest of the society is to have all the three unified. Let me conclude my remarks by saying this, Trevor, that in the considerations for who would deputize a president, I think two factors must be remembered. One, that person should have, and it is important for him to have, a national appeal. Remember, this person is the principal assistant to the president, and the president, as per our constitution, is deemed to be a symbol of national unity. His deputy must also have at least fair national appeal, yeah, and also, of course, the mindset to be so, besides the local, local appeal. Yeah. One thing that Wakili needs to think about, and especially when you become the Attorney General in my administration, is that we would need to spearhead, yeah, a serious conversation that will see an amendment to our Constitution that will allow a lawful, entrenched, and clearly defined role of a deputy president and the functions of that office and the powers that are assigned to that office, so that that person does not, at any other one time, yeah, go through the kind of things that we have gone through. And we are not only singling out Deputy President William Ruto. We are saying that if you look at what has happened in county governments, to deputy governors, the same problem has been there. You remember, and maybe I don't have to cite all of the cases. You remember the fiasco between Machakos governor Alfred Mutua and the first deputy governor Kiala. Remember in Kiambu, remember in Nyeri, all over. It has been a big issue because you find that deputy governors don't have a role, they don't have functions, they don't have defined powers. Yeah. And sometimes when the person who sits in those offices does not have the clarity of mind and intent, yeah, to make use of that office and that person to deliver services, okay, then those offices spike, okay, politics that are not useful, right, in the country. So right, I think we need to define, yeah, those functions and laws and powers in law. Okay,
I want us to switch gears and talk about the legacy of Mwai Kibaki right after the break. But Governor Kibwana, let me bring in the form of a question or a tweet here from Musoma JM, just to make quick remarks. He says, kindly remind Governor Kibwana that Kambas are an homogeneous lot that doesn't divide their vote. Wiper commands all senators, women rep 80% of MP seats and majority in all Ukambani County Assembly. Kalonzo is the only DP aspirant who can command 2 million votes.
I think, Trevor, that is Wiper's blogger. I think let us rest it there.
All right. On that note, let's take a quick break here. When we come back, we talk about Kibaki's legacy, the third president of the Republic of Kenya. Right after this, Twitter Mwangi, former PS for Foreign Affairs, will be joining us right after the break. We'd also like to hear from your tributes to the former head of state at Trevor Mbiji at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. We're back in just a bit.